Welcome everyone to the City Advertising and Promotion Commission. This is our workshop for April 14th at 5 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And really right off the bat, we've got Paradise is here by Zoom. Sarah's here by Zoom, and we're going to get an update on our marketing, it's social media and regional campaign and kind of everything that's going on. And I know Patrick is our liaison to them, so I'm going to kick it over to you guys and let's see what we got.
All right.
Hi, Sarah.
Patrick, you just let me know when you're ready for me.
I say go ahead and launch into it. I love what you've got to show us, and I appreciate you going through it and explaining it.
Absolutely. Okay. Rob, I will just have you advance the slides as we go through the presentation. It's nice to see everybody from afar. Thank you for having me here today. Just wanted to quickly give you all a real brief advertising update on Q1 and Q2 and where we are right now. And then we'll kind of go into some detail on timelines and dates as it is related to basically the rest of the year. So we will just jump right in here. Rob, if you could advance the slide for me. I can't really see your screen, so I just bear with me or tell me to stop if this slide doesn't advance. So as we look at campaign, the Q1, Q2 campaign, we have launched that, obviously. You guys have heard us speak about this in the past couple weeks. We launched that March 1st, and that will run through June 28th. And right now, we're off to a really strong start. All of our digital partners are now active, are serving, as of Monday, had served over 2 million impressions throughout all of our mediums. So you'll see the mediums there, pretty normal for digital marketing. If you could advance the slide, Rob, we'll get into some of the actual performance metrics. Okay, so performance measurements. So our click-through rate right now is at a 0.19. Industry standard is 0.08, so it's very, very strong and performing well. Video completion rate is at a 0.77, and your average industry standard is at 0.70. And one thing just to keep in mind, we do not measure clicks on the videos. It's more so about video completions. So this medium is really about informing and inspiring the audience. So seeing a click rate above industry average is always a positive performance metric. As you move down that little presentation sheet, you'll see the Expedia bookings report for March. I just wanted to kind of point out a couple things here. The return on ad spend is 6.3. Your gross bookings is 51,300, and then you'll see your room nights is sitting at about 394. And so with Expedia, it's not about your CTR performance. It's really about your revenue and about your return on ad spend, and that goal is for bookings. So 394 for the month of March is really positive, you guys. You should be very happy about that. I know that several of you have reached out, and some stakeholders have reached out to us over the last month and sharing with us about how busy it's been. So all wonderful things, and Q1, Q2 is performing well. As we look into future forecasts, so Q3 and Q4 is knocking at the door, and it's going to be here before we know it. Rob, if you could advance that slide for me.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Can you hear me? Sarah, can you hear me? No? Okay.
I'm sorry, were you asking a question? It's kind of echoey, so I'm trying to make out what you're asking.
I just wanted to find out this return on ad spend was 6.3. Where is that as far as an average? Is that below average, above average? Are we hitting our mark? Do we have a...
So we look at it more, when you're looking at return on ad spend, you're looking at it more from a campaign full view. I can tell you that where you guys averaged out last year was 3.7. So to see a 6.3, you're doing very well.
Okay.
Does that answer that question for you, Jeff?
Yeah, it does. I just wanted to have a measurement if we were going in the right direction.
Sure. It's a great question. And if you want to dig into that a little bit more, I can always get with our media team and they can provide you a little bit more depth there. But just keep in mind that that's for a March report, and we try to look at campaigns in a holistic view. So just a little food for thought there. Okay, so moving into Q3 and Q4, obviously that will start in July. We are on target to hit a July launch. We are currently going to be in the planning process that is just now beginning with our team. So you'll kind of see as we go through the timeline, there's some dates in there that we'll be presenting to you guys and whatnot. But we're really just in the initial stage. I just want to put it on your radar that it is coming down the pipeline, and we are going to be planning for that. And that's the Q3, Q4 campaign for out of state. And we'll address the regional advertising campaign in a few minutes. Next slide, please. Okay, so we are officially signed on and on board with the expanded scope of services with everybody, and you'll see that list on your screen there. We started this contract April 1st, so we are truly just getting into the bulk of it now. One thing I wanted to call out on this list was this management. We have officially gained access to all accounts. There was some delay there just with Facebook and Instagram just trying to get on board and have those accounts, redirected and managed over to us. So that was account access as of April 8th. And we are moving right along to be posting regularly, to be communicating with Patrick on a monthly basis from a calendar standpoint. But just a couple things that I wanted to highlight before we get into the timeline as it relates to social. We're going to be doing an audit pretty much this entire month of all of those accounts. And so when I say audit, it really pertains to not necessarily the post content, but what's on those channels. So is the URL correct? Is the header image accurate? Do we want to change that out for something new? Is the bio correct? Is the blurb, appealing to consumers? So that is the kind of audit that I'm referring to, and that will be completed before the end of this month. We will also be interlacing in social media strategy for the rest of the Q2 and our efforts that we have planned for that. And then as we move into the planning process for Q3 and Q4, that will really become part of the full-blown strategy and part of strategic planning. So I just wanted to highlight those few things. As it relates to the actual accounts themselves. So we are responsible for the main Eureka Springs tourism accounts on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And we're going to be, crafting that content and that imagery based around what we consider UGC, so user-generated content. And that is really sourcing directly from those people who are actively engaged on your accounts, who have either visited Eureka Springs in the past, who plan to visit Eureka Springs. So where I'm going with this is that, we would just really strongly encourage those stakeholders that are within Eureka Springs who use social media as a main method of their, marketing their business and promoting their business, to make sure that they're tagging us in the main Eureka Springs handles, as well as using the Eureka Springs hashtag. So, you can kind of look at it as the more frequently the hashtag is used, the more refreshed that content becomes. And it allows us to also, find the best pieces of content that we can reutilize and recycle on our channels as well. And from a stakeholder perspective too, it's just great if we're in the know of things that might be going on. So for instance, if a restaurant is running a special for Mother's Day coming up, or maybe a shop is doing, a unique, discount. Any of those related items, I would say just tag us and let us know. It's a good way that our social account manager is aware of what's going on within the destination, or you can send a message through the account. I just wanted to highlight that because I don't think we have concentrated on that just yet. Are there any questions as it relates to what I just discussed? Okay, I will move on then to the bulk of kind of today's update, which is the timeline. If you could advance the slide for me, Rob. So the timeline, commissioners, you should all have in your board packet a PDF version of this timeline. I'm sure it's pretty tiny as you're looking on the screen, so I apologize. It's difficult to blow up a spreadsheet in a presentation, but high level here. So this timeline is really going to take us from now all the way to the end of the year. And what we wanted to address up front is just being able to give you guys some dates and some expectations on deliveries. I say that though with a grain of salt because, as you know, all timelines have some fluidness to it. So please understand that these dates, there are some that are going to be subject to change. But for the most part, this will give you a general idea of where we are at with everything and where we are headed. And so we will go through this. Let me just get it pulled up on my side. I'm not looking at it on a tiny screen. Okay, so starting, at the top is really what we're doing, right? So it's our ongoing collaboration with the CAPC. So that could mean, our additional advertising and marketing services, onboarding the team, our ongoing communication with Patrick and reporting, and that, constant measurement and alignment of just day-to-day activity. So that's really just ongoing, you guys, April through December. If there's something specific within there, we will obviously call it out to you. Same goes for research, that's ongoing throughout the entire year. Obviously, when we are in planning, like Q3 and Q4 planning, or for the regional advertising campaign, research is going to be a little bit heavier on the front end of those planning processes. But as you all know, we are constantly monitoring and looking at your research for Eureka Springs, and so that's really considered ongoing. As you move into the annual strategic content plan, which is the large plan that you've heard us refer to many of times, where we're integrating everything that we're doing to make sure that we're aligned, number one, and to make sure that we're cross-promoting, number two. So that is really what we are focusing on for the bulk of this month. We are getting the team obviously up to speed on everything, and then pretty much the next 2 weeks or so, we will be working through this spreadsheet, dropping in content that is relevant and integrating and aligning it with all the current touch points. So when I say, like, what are we doing on web? What are we doing on social? What are the potential blog topics that are coming up? That will all be dropped into this plan and then presented to you guys for review. As you're moving down your document, you'll see website and maintenance and management is next. Again, just to reiterate, we are responsible for maintaining and managing the CAPC Biz site and the eurekasprings.org site. And so for the month of April, we are going to do and conduct some real quick audits just to make sure that we're aligned with everything on those particular sites, make sure that we can access those sites and not have, hiccups on the back end. We did gain access to both of those sites late last week, so that's a success and a win. But we are going to be conducting an audit on the CAPC Biz site just to make sure that there's not, something that is glaring or maybe outdated. And same goes for the eurekasprings.org. We did a previous audit right around the time that we came on board with working with you all in 2019, 2020. And so we're going to review that audit and then give some recommendations based on what we find from there. And that will pretty much be the month of April, and then I would suspect that might take into the first week or so of May as well. Okay, good. Moving to the list, the next big one obviously is the regional advertising campaign, and so keep in mind this is the regional, so this would be considered 2 hours or less than 2 hours from Eureka Springs. So these are tentative dates. Please, keep that in mind that this could change. But as of right now, the month of April is when we just kind of getting our feet wet into understanding some of the media relationships. We're going to start laying out the strategic planning outline and making sure that there are no, mandatories or things that we absolutely have to include. The month of May is really for setting up the strategic plan to be able to present to you all. And then once that is approved, we'll start to move into, more so late May, we'll start moving into basically the media in and of itself, placing the media and getting that moving. We do expect that we'll probably be launching in Q3 with some existing assets, because as you remember and what you'll hear down below in terms of the new photo shoots, those will not be completed until the June, July timeframe. So once we have those assets completed, then we will redeploy with new assets as it goes for the rest of the year and as it relates to the regional advertising campaign. So May we'll launch, and then we will redeploy with new assets. Because obviously we don't want creative assets to hold up marketing for a regional campaign. That's why we make that decision.
Can I ask a question? When are you guys thinking that you're going to come for the photo shoots and for those assets? Do you have a month or date for you guys to come?
In terms of the actual shoot,
Yeah.
for getting those photos and whatnot, yes.
Yes.
And I'll just touch on it right now. It's at the end of this. We are estimated to shoot in June.
Okay.
That will take care of spring, summer, and then we will be back out in late October, early November to capture the fall. So, there might be some assets here and there that we pick up along the way or that we can utilize Right Minds for, but really this is our branded shoot. So I would assume that the majority of those assets and creative assets will be coming from that shoot. Did that answer
Yes.
your question?
Thank you.
Okay. Moving along, you'll find the next kind of bucket is social media. And I briefly touched on this a few minutes ago, but just to kind of highlight a few other areas, we did a major onboarding session last week, and then we obviously gained access late last week into all those accounts. What we have done so far is we have provided what we consider like a mini calendar for the rest of April, so that was approved and it was reviewed with Patrick, and it basically plans out our posts for the month of April. Moving forward, what we do on a monthly basis is we plan out a month's worth of social content. Now, obviously that can ebb and flow, but we like to have a solid ground on what we're going to be posting, what we're going to be promoting, and to have that reviewed and approved from somebody from a CAPC standpoint, which in this case is Patrick. And that will happen on a monthly basis. So we will have everything pretty much approved and planned out before the first of the month ever hits. With that being said, I mentioned this earlier, we are going to be interlacing social media into all of our strategic planning for the rest of Q2, and then obviously for the regional advertising campaign as well as Q3, Q4. And so any of those strategic planning guidances and whatnot will always be reviewed by the CAPC on a monthly or quarterly basis. Social media is moving right along. I know that it's been definitely a needed source recently. So we're excited to watch your numbers grow, and that will be reported out to you guys on a monthly basis, along with your normal monthly report. You'll start seeing those numbers and being able to gauge, the performance of that. Moving into the next bucket would be your blogs. So as you remember, we're going to be developing quite a few blogs here from April to December. To just get us off the ground and get us running and getting that first blog launched. We're going to do a little audit of what the current content is and kind of identify what are those immediate needs, what are some relevant topics to the destination, and then be able to research those potential topics and make sure that we're strategically planning those in a 9-month spread. So I would go ahead and wage that first blog will launch in May. If not the first week or two, it will certainly be by the 15th. And then as we move through June through December, obviously that will just be ongoing with topic research and blog development and deployment. The way that we promote blogs, obviously social is a huge source of this. And hopefully what it will do in turn is, those businesses and stakeholders will find the content that's being developed relevant and also start resharing that through their sources.
How many blogs a month? What's our target for blogs? How many?
You're saying like what's our ideal goal with blog?
Well, what's our
I'm sorry.
I was just kind of curious, like, are we looking to do 2 blogs a month, 3?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. That's a great question. So I think we had identified we would be doing at a minimum 1 a month, but there are some months that we may be heavier, and that may be 2 blogs, or maybe we know that fall is going to be a busier time, so we move that to 3 blogs, and maybe 1 month doesn't get 1.
Okay.
That is the part of the whole strategic planning process, Jeff, that we'll be laying out.
Sure. Yeah, I was just curious.
And obviously, it's going to ebb and flow a little bit. If we identify an area that it needs to move to, then that's certainly what we're going to do. But we'll present that to you guys if that changes. And so my hope is that through the next 2 to 3 weeks, that we'll be able to start sorting out those topics and putting them in the correct month bucket to go with the correct theme. And then you'll have a better idea of, okay, let's say October's going to have 2 blogs, and maybe June's going to have 1. So you'll have a better idea once we get that strategic plan kind of outlined. Any other questions as it relates to blogs? Okay. So your Q1, Q2 marketing campaign is out of state. Obviously, that's running January through June. And that runs pretty much through June 28th. So at that point, then we'll start to transition to the Q3 to Q4 media plan, which we are working on currently. Pretty much everything under this is your norm. You guys are aware of what's going on with this. So national public relations, ongoing January through December. That PR team is constantly actively pitching, responding to leads, and fielding any media inquiries. Just a little sidebar for public relations. I know that Patrick has a little boilerplate that our team crafted for you guys. In the case that you receive any media inquiries, it's a great little statement to utilize in the time being. If you have any questions on that, I'm happy to expand on that one-on-one. Okay, so Q3, Q4 marketing campaign. Just real quickly, obviously, pretty much from now until about the 18th of May, we're in our this. Once we get through the framework and the outline, we'll be presenting that to the CAPC board for approval. And from there, pretty much the later half of May, we will present the tactical plan, so it has more of the actual media buys and what we're going to be doing from a tactical standpoint. And that will be presented to Patrick. If it needs to be presented to the full board, that's fine as well. We just need some direction on that. And then as you get walking into pretty much the 1st of June, we'll start placing media and opening jobs and preparing for a July 1 launch. Okay. Other than that, it brings us to that Curious Indeed branded photo shoot, which I kind of briefly mentioned earlier when Jeff had the question. We are slated for a June shoot. And then the second shoot will fall in the late October, early November to capture the fall seasons. And so as those details roll out and pre-production really starts to solidify, we'll obviously keep you guys abreast of everything going on with that. But we're excited. We're really excited for everything that's laid out in the timeline and to really start getting into the meat of, Q3, Q4 and the regional advertising campaign and growing this social audience for you all and everything else that we will be working towards. So that's all I have. Please let me know if you have questions or if something comes up later on in the meeting. Patrick and I are in contact daily, if not by email, sometimes by phone. So I'm just a call away if you guys have questions or need to have further discussion on anything.
Any questions?
No, and ask, I think it was Jenna that sent the response sheet. I've got that at my computer, and I will actually send that to everybody.
Sure. Thank you.
I didn't know if we were discussing it here first, but I'll just go ahead and send it out, and I think it's useful for everyone to know.
You guys are okay if I ask the audience if they have any questions while we have?
Yep.
Does anybody in the audience, you guys have any questions about the presentation or for Paradise about this marketing while we have them? If not, we'll let them go and we'll move on. Nobody? Okay. All right. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome, you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. So as Sarah mentioned, obviously they're taking care of eurekasprings.org website, capc.biz. I've already vetted a lot of the information in there and gone through it, updated plugins, taking a look around, making sure everything is where it needs to be for now. And Greg over there at Paradise, as well as the other folks.
What about the Bike Eureka website?
The what?
The Bike Eureka website.
We're still working on that.
Okay, so
I'm
they're-
in contact with
Okay.
Frank Roberts at HCI. He's the Hyperactive Concepts who designed the website from Georgia. So he is still looking for the login for that particular one. I have the Festival of the Arts, and I do believe I have the, let's see, here's the other.
So we have eurekasprings.org, we have Bike Eureka, we have the .biz site, which is, and then we also have the Odd site. Where's that falling in place?
Hold on.
Okay, I won't.
I'm trying to
I'll
log
give you-
in. I got a damn mask on, so it doesn't recognize my face. So with the HCI, so what we have is we have the HCI admin site, which allows us to the back end, which is basically the hosting site. And it's something that I was very happy to find because it allows us to check on many, many things as far as, I still would like to get access to the domain registrar. That'll be the next very, very crucial step, and he's working on it. He said he'd get back to me hopefully by tomorrow.
Okay.
So we have the admin site, we have the logins for the Odd, Bike Eureka, and Festival of the Arts. So he did come through on the Bike Eureka.
Okay.
And so what I need to do is I have not opened the Bike Eureka website yet. I have looked at the Odd. There's not much to change other than doing some updating. All three of these are WordPress sites. I am in contact with Sandy Martin on Festival of the Arts. I'm going to try to carve out some time here. We're so busy. It's nice to be busy in Eureka.
Yeah.
I hate to complain about it because it's, what most of us as stakeholders are actually here to do. But I hope to carve out some time to go in there and change the graphic on the Eureka Festival of the Arts because it's no longer the May Festival of the Arts, as well as the Facebook page. But I would like to find out more information about Bike Eureka Springs, especially with some of the events coming up.
Yes, I talked to Kevin, and I'll send you he's the chair for the Parks Department.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'll send you over his contact. Let's see if I have his contact, and I'll just give it to you here publicly so that
It's Kevin Ruley?
Ruley, yeah. Let me see if I can find an email for Parks. But he pointed out that some of the information obviously on the Bike Eureka site is wrong, and they would like to just, obviously they have a big stake in the bike community
Yeah.
here. And so I'm going to have Kevin come to one of our, maybe next month's workshop. And then we can meet with him and try to figure out how all this is going to incorporate together and flow in that. So
Well, I think, and right now, we have an opportunity to go ahead and just update everything. I'd like, I was actually going to talk to the PR, Jenna at Paradise, about a general statement that we could put on each of these sites while we're in this sort of pause, if you will, getting up to speed, getting everything up and running.
pass that over there to him, and he can have that contact. He can put it in his notes. So, but in the meantime, I can get in there and do quite a bit. I just need to know what to put in there. Right.
Yeah, here you go.
Hi, Melissa.
Thanks, I'll give him a call and discuss bikes. As I said, I'm with Sandy Martin discussing the Festival of the Arts. We'll get that website and the Facebook page updated. I have yet to dig into the Facebook on the bikes or the Odd yet, but we're still working on that. So a lot of little parts.
Yeah.
And I keep coming across more and more little parts, but just know that I'm I am working in the background on it. Nothing much to report until we know that we have logins. I'm also creating a login sheet so that we can hand that off. It'll all be in one location eventually, but it'll need to be handled securely, of course. I've got it on a secure application on my system, and until time it needs to be transferred over to, say, the tourism director or whoever else needs access. I've also asked Paradise that they don't change any passwords that I've given them so that I can continue to have access for us.
Okay, good.
It's very important that there's 2
Well,
points of
it sounds like
contact.
we've pretty much got control over all
We're
of
getting
social
there.
media,
Okay.
I mean, other than maybe just one or two little things.
I apologize. I thought it said 6 o'clock. I was kind of wondering.
5 for the workshop and 6 for the
Okay,
meeting.
yeah, that's what I know, but what I got. it
Melissa,
said
you're
6.
fired. No,
All right. Yay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
it's okay.
I'm sorry. I
You're here.
apologize.
And that may happen to Harry as well, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Okay, so any other discussion about the Paradise marketing? I mean, we got Melissa here now. So Melissa,
Thank you, Ron.
we just kind of went over the presentation.
Okay.
I'm very pleased with the work that Paradise is doing.
Okay.
I like where we're headed. I really like the blogs. I think those are going to have some value, and of course, the regional campaign. And I know how important, that's why I asked about these shoots,
Okay.
the new content. I want to kind of point out that one of the things, when I talked to Sarah last week, just briefly, what's important is that the way we're doing social media now, it's real important that we use our hashtags and we check in with Facebook when our guests do that. And so I'd like for us to talk about potentially how we could increase that here locally. So I know that we need to work with the business owners and the merchants to kind of educate them so that when people come in and they're taking pictures and they're tagging themselves in Facebook, that we're recommending that they use our hashtag or they check in to our Facebook, which would really help our social media as a whole. So I talked to Sarah about the potential of us creating stickers that would be hashtag Eureka Springs. It might have our website, it might have this information, and that we give those out to Parks Department, Transit, we give it out to the merchants, we give it out to the hotels, and let them identify areas in their business. Like for us, we would just put it right on our front window
Exactly.
and put another one inside, so that when people see it and they're taking a picture, we get a lot of pictures of our doors. I could actually stick a sticker up there that said, use this hashtag. And I think that would be a good way to start bringing unity into our hashtag and our social media. And we know the more that we can get people tagging and hashtagging Eureka Springs, the more this thing's going to really take off organically without us having to put more money into it.
Is that something you think we can get retailers to help us out with, even though they're not part of the actual tax collection?
Oh, I think they would. I think
But
that,
to
yeah,
actually, broaden the reach of it.
I do. I think the merchants would get excited about a nice looking sticker that they could say, hey, use this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd
Well,
like
we'd
for us to.
definitely put that on our place as well. I like that idea, and it's something that graphically I can discuss with them and say, listen, it needs to be very big and it needs to be very evident. The branding is important to have the Eureka Springs logo, but I would more importantly love to see a very easy to read hashtag or tag. And of course with Facebook, you know how it is. When you're typing in a post, sometimes it'll recognize what you're typing, sometimes it won't. That's something, I don't know if we want to get into educating the public on it. That seems a little verbose to try to explain that. Sometimes you have to put the @ symbol. So sometimes when I've done that for my clients, that's what I've done to give an idea of what a Facebook hashtag looks like, or a Facebook tag, as opposed to a Instagram hashtag or a Twitter hashtag. Is you hashtag Eureka Springs, I think it's Visit Eureka Springs is our actual Facebook page. So that's something important too, is the actual name of the page comes up faster if you actually, because if not, you come up with somebody else's
Yeah.
When I go
And
to,
I think that's what we have. Eureka Springs has a lot of different hashtags, and we have a lot of different, we have different websites and different Facebook pages, and a lot of people have them, and so sometimes it gets, as the consumer, they're just here, I think it gets a little confusing for them.
So
They're not sure where to check in or tag or whatever, and so I'd like for us to consider just a dollar amount that we could budget for printing of stickers or little postcards, business cards, that we could give out to everyone. And even parks, try to get them to identify places where they could be appropriately put around some of the parks department. Smitty said that transit would stick them on their doors, so everybody that goes in and out of transit here in Eureka would be able to see that hashtag or @ Eureka Springs. Okay.
or is that actually something, something to put in the hands of Right Minds as
Yes.
far as one of those
I think we would let
smaller
them
jobs?
design it.
Yeah.
We'd let them design it. We already have, and then we would let Paradise, of course, oversee that with you to get it, make sure we don't mess that up.
So I'm going to look into getting the hashtags/tags and making sure we're picking up on the right ones.
Rick, do we have a budget right now already for this type of printing? Is there something already that we have in place?
Yeah, we do have contingency for,
Okay, and how much contingency do we have there for that type?
I think it's 5,000.
Okay, so $5,000, we could contingency right now. I'd like to recommend that we move forward with something. I don't think we don't need to spend $5,000, but
No.
I think we could probably recommend $3,000. We could get 5,000 stickers at that point.
And I like the idea of diversifying. I'd say you would devote a certain amount of it to maybe more than a third in stickers, but also have something in a card that
Oh, yeah.
could be maybe placed on tables at restaurants.
I agree.
On a stand. I don't know if we want to get into supplying stands or not.
I heard what you said about keeping it simple. How about the idea of, we have so many beautiful, iconic things in town, the Flatiron Building and other things. If we used something that looked like a postcard that had the hashtag on it, that people could actually take home and stick on the fridge or
I like that idea.
mail it to someone.
But I can almost guarantee you the way to look at this, back in the old advertising days, we called it buses and billboards. You have on the freeway less than 7 seconds for someone to absorb the
Yeah.
information on a billboard.
Right.
When they're walking around town, you're probably going to have the same thing. You probably need a 3 to 7 second acquisition time frame. And that's what we need to look at. You don't want to confuse them with anything but what the actual message is. That would be my suggestion. I do love that as
You're the pros.
I love that as a takeaway, though. I mean, we supply in all of our rooms coasters that are basically business cards. They have a different graphic on it, and it has our address and website and all that. And people often, we go in and they're gone. They're supposed to take them. They're supposed to either trash them or take them. And so that's a great takeaway kind of item. But as far as for the stickers, especially for the stickers, for the cards, that might be a different situation. But for the stickers, it needs to be something that has a very easy to read background, nothing too confusing, big fat type.
Yeah.
Really quick acquisition time is what you're looking at when
Yeah.
it comes to that. And you have to think, what is someone going to, they're going to see it around town, and then they're going to go, hey, I'm taking a picture. Oh, yeah, I remember. I saw that. And, it's psychological at that point.
So we already have budget set for us to use Right Minds. So I say we go ahead and move forward, and then we already have some budget money. Rick, just help us make sure we don't go over that. And then let's get a design. Go ahead and get that design made.
Would you like me to talk to Right Minds
Yeah,
about that?
I
And
would,
go ahead
yeah.
and see if I can get some quotes, too. I'd like to see at least 3 different quotes on
Yeah,
things.
Right Minds could help you with the quotes, I think, and Rick
Yeah.
probably could too, on using some printers. But yeah, I'd like to go ahead and get the design, and then we'll, hopefully, next time we meet, we'll have that design, and we could move on them quickly.
Yeah, Rick, I'd definitely like to know of anyone we've worked with in the past. I'd like to reward people that we've continued working with as opposed to starting out. I don't want to jump on the web and just pick up the stuff, the printers I've used in the past. If we can go local or we can go regional, that's great.
There's a lot of local.
Okay.
Good, awesome. So that, anything else marketing-wise that we want to talk about? If not, we can move on. We can talk about our tourism director position.
I have a question. What is the date? I know the mayor still has some things in place regarding COVID in terms of what we can advertise when. What is the current status of that?
Can we move that down to events?
Yeah, we're
Yep.
actually going to discuss that
Okay.
here on events.
Yeah.
That's a
Okay.
big topic.
Yeah, yeah, I think it is. So let's move that. We'll just, because I think in events, we'll talk about the moratorium and the mask and all that stuff. If there's not anything else on the Paradise marketing update, we'll talk about the director's position. So I know that I got an email from Lynn, and we have two different job descriptions. And reading through this first one here, I really think this is probably it says tourism director, but because it shows that it's a full or part-time position, I'm assuming that's really for the intern position.
This was just what I had supplied to Harry and
Okay.
ended up sending to Lynn. It was an idea just to get the fire lit because,
Okay.
no traction had taken place at that point.
Okay.
And it seemed to have worked because then we got this.
Okay, so this is what we really need to be
Yeah.
looking at. Okay, I got it.
And-
I just didn't know what was what. I got two.
This is a great wish list. It is a
Okay.
very nice wish list, and I think that it's got almost everything we need. And obviously, I appreciate Lynn Berry sending this because she understands some of the more ADA guidelines that need to be incorporated.
Yeah.
She asked my opinion on it, and whenever you guys are ready, and I can tell you, the only thing that I see that it needs added at that point. I didn't know if you guys had already read over this or not. Okay.
We'll take a minute and just look at it. And,
Okay.
Ron, do you have the second one? The second one that has the logo on it? That's the one that we're going to be looking at. I want to make sure that the public can see it as well. Thank you. I think it's above that on the left. Well, no, that's marketing. Sorry.
That's the first one. Ron, if you don't have it, I've got it here. I can airdrop it to you. It's right there. That's it. Nope, yep. You got it.
Yeah, it's under first. That's it. Thank you. So I noticed on here, bachelor's degree in business, communication, hospitality management, or a related field. Are we looking for someone who is going to have a degree as well as experience, or are those going to be interchangeable? If someone comes in and they have experience, but maybe how do we feel about that?
I think they need a bachelor's degree at least and experience.
I think that's kind of standard these days.
Yeah.
Just
I
to,
agree. Okay.
as I told my daughter, that a bachelor's degree is the equivalent of a high school degree 25 years ago, and now it's almost a requirement to
Yeah.
even move forward with a professional position. It just says accountability. And obviously, I mean, there are going to be some people that have that kind of experience and that might be really good to have. At that point, I would love just, if they got the guts, just tell us, hey, I don't have a bachelor's degree, but here's what I do have. They might push through.
Okay.
So I really like Lynn's. I feel like it satisfies so many things. It's a little on the more wiggle word vague side, but sometimes that's beneficial. The only thing that I would like to add is that whoever comes on really needs to understand basic graphic design applications, which are pretty much industry standard these days. Adobe Creative Suite, it's what I use, it's what everybody uses.
Yeah.
That way, files that are going back and forth between our ad agency and this person, they understand the language, very important of that. And then also knowledge and ability on WordPress, CMS backend systems, as well as social media backend systems to understand what's going on there. Those are really the most important two items that I see this person's going to need, because they need to speak the language thoroughly and fluently, not just administrative, not just employee management type situations. And then, of course, having more of a marketing sales experience level. Those would be the only things that I would really add.
Okay, I like it. You guys got any other thoughts?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And Lynn had asked me just to add those two sentences from this one into this one, and then we can put that in front of everyone for final approval,
Okay.
if you like.
If, I don't know if Harry's coming, but probably if he doesn't, then if we are going to make changes to it, I would prefer, if we get to our meeting, if we have enough, I would prefer us to write it in
Yeah,
and vote on it.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
That way we can.
She did leave this open on years of working experience. What kind of minimum should we be looking at here? At least 2 years. I mean, 2 would be minimum.
Okay.
I would prefer someone who's got 5 to 10, but
Yeah, 10 sounds better.
I know. But you know what? Life moves pretty fast, in the words of Ferris Bueller.
And this is a pretty small, I mean, this is a pretty, destination marketing. I mean, it's pretty specific. There's just not, that job's not on every street corner.
No.
Right.
And so to get someone who's actually worked in that field
Exactly.
for 2 years is going to be.
Because you can get someone who's great with sales and marketing, who has 20 years experience, but if they just have a few years of destination marketing, then they're going to understand it. And if they're going for this job, then they're going to be focusing
Yeah.
on it. I really do agree with that. So I'd say 2 years, 2-3 years, somewhere in there.
It would be nice to get someone fairly young. I mean,
Absolutely.
So you had 2 things that you wanted to add.
Yes, I really just feel, and she agreed with me, she just said just add them on, because
Okay.
she didn't know to really specifically request that, but I would say most people in the marketing industry that are going to be in a director position have had experience with Adobe Creative Suite or similar design software.
Okay. So you
And for our purposes, working with Paradise, they are, design-wise, they're a Mac-based design studio. So they're using all the same, applications that I'm using, although it is cross-platformable with PCs. But Adobe Creative Suite pretty much took over the whole world. And then obviously knowledge of WordPress, since we have like 8 kajillion websites in WordPress. There's no point in throwing good money after bad. We already have them. It'd be nice if someone could understand them and help manage them.
So what 2 sentences are we adding?
They're in the preferred requirements. Knowledge of Adobe Creative Suite, knowledge of and ability to work on WordPress website, CMS backend systems. I would prefer that they also have knowledge of social media platforms and ability to manage them. That's an option as well.
It says here in this marketing and social media knowledge, that probably covers that.
Yeah, I saw that on hers, so
Yeah.
that'd be it, right there above that. Marketing and
I like
social media knowledge would,
Okay, let's, anything else on that? Okay. We also are talking about an intern.
I do have a little bit of information on that since
Okay.
Harry's not here. So, I forgot what the other person's name is. There's 2 people that are actually quite interested. in this. One of them is an actual Eureka native, I believe. The other
From
is
U of A? Is this from-
I think
okay.
that's the one from U of A, Heidi, I believe. And then there's another one that was proposed to me, and I'll dig that up out of my email at the time. But I asked them to, as soon as we knew that we were going to have that position, we probably need to get an application up on capc.biz.
What is it that we're expecting the intern?
So Harry had asked me to come up with some ideas, and these are things that, in the meantime, especially without a tourism director, an intern would, obviously talk with us. I mean, it would be someone who reported to the commission. But right now, Audrey at Paradise is doing a fantastic job. She has really gotten in there. I mean, there's been a lot of, of the usual, how shall I say, groaning in the community on Facebook about the lack of social media, but what people don't understand is that, you have to get up to speed. And I think Audrey has gotten up to speed very quickly, because I saw some of her comments out there that she's already been responding to, and she is saying exactly what needs to be said. It's awesome. So, but that was one of the duties that an intern could do, is reading and responding to social media comments and messages. Little stuff, nothing big, maybe even
Right.
canned responses, a list of them.
Okay.
That we work out, working with collections and past due collections for tax collection, at least making those phone calls for those that are delinquent, because right now I know that that's a burden falling upon others. Taking phone calls, messages, opening and sorting mail, monitor social media for trending topics to utilize on social media channels, managing social media that the agency doesn't handle, such as the Festival of the Arts, Folk Festival, and the Odd, and Bike Arkansas. Those are things that are going to fall by the wayside, especially as I've gotten busier. I have no time to respond to the 100 notifications I get a day on all of those Facebook pages. It's a lot.
Right.
Compile events, both found online and submitted by organizers to ad agency for posting. This is something that, talking with Audrey, she was actually at Paradise asking, where can I find what band is playing when? And so I helped her, locate.
That's a tough, I mean,
Quite a
that's
few
hard to
sites.
find.
Yeah.
I mean,
I said, wouldn't it be awesome if we had a single form on the website that if you're a promoter and you're doing an event, is just to submit the form, And if it fits the criteria of an approved event that we can put on our calendar, it just goes on our calendar.
I noticed during COVID that restaurants were often changing their hours or their days, probably more than they normally would.
Ugh, that was awful.
I think it would be really great if the responsibility for the days and hours fell to that particular establishment, whether it be an attraction or retail, that only they had access and they could change their dates. Because what I did notice, as soon as, Sandy or Gina or somebody made the changes, they changed again.
Yeah.
It would be really great if we had some way that, particularly our collectors, but also retailers and others, and obviously the restaurants who, are having bands and music here, and that way, if it's not current, it's really the responsibility of the person that owns that business. Because it's really impossible, I think, to call everybody.
I wish we had the kind of system set up that, like, the Arkansas.com extranet has set up, where you can go in and change your own listing.
Yes.
At this time, I do not believe we have that set up that way.
no, I think that our big website push change is going to be next year, right? That's something we're going to want to budget next year, is to change the entire infrastructure of the website so that we can
Absolutely.
do.
I would love to be able to do that at that point.
So
That would
an
be great.
intern, this is what I have for an intern, because we'll try to move this, social media events, and then just general office help also, kind of include all that together. And that intern, we're thinking that intern will work directly for the commission. Right, directly for us, right?
Yeah.
Could we have more than one, since there are two that are interested, if they were both
Well,
good?
it depends on the budget. I mean, obviously, I think it needs to be a paid position. I think there needs to be
What
skin in
would
the
we
game.
pay, what would we pay an intern?
I mean, that's a tough one, because a lot of interns don't get paid. It depends on how they're structured. I mean, obviously, we can't support someone. There's no dorms here, there's no, we don't have an apartment, we don't have food and lodging, or lodging and board and whatever that is. Room and board, thank you. Set up, so I mean, I was just thinking 15 an hour, personally, it's a summer part-time job. If they're someone who can take care of the rest or work elsewhere, I'm not sure how that
And
would
we're
work
thinking
out.
maybe part-time, 20 hours?
Yeah.
Is that what we're, because this is likely to be a student that's in school. We're going to be working around some of their hours probably during the school year.
I think we were thinking in summer first,
Okay.
give them a shot and see how that works out. If they can accommodate it as they go to school, great, but probably not. That's
Yeah.
my guess.
Okay, all right.
The other idea, and I talked to Sarah and Kristen at Paradise about the potential of having that person, was that for little things that are on the fly, Audrey would really love having someone who could just run right
Sure.
out and take a picture real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, what's it look like in Eureka right now?
All right.
That kind of thing.
Gotcha.
I don't know the viability of it, whether or not that would actually come about, but it's worth
It
talking
depends on the
about.
intern, I would imagine. I have a company and we did a lot of interns and, they're there to learn. You're sewing into them.
Yeah.
That's part of the internship. And that's why we did it, was we were so into. And so it was a learning curve for us as a company. And I think it was good for the interns to come in and to see real life work. And so I think a lot of that might depend on the intern and their abilities.
And
And that's what we
also-
found. Some interns, we could give more responsibilities than others, we couldn't.
And I don't mind, spending time with that person.
Yeah.
Whoever comes in, I will be happy to donate my time to have them come in and we can
Sure.
go over accounts and look at what we've been discussing with Paradise. Consistency is key in advertising. You just can't stress that enough. And that's what, the timeline we just looked at from Paradise is saying, that everything is about consistency. The research they're doing, the time they're spending to onboard is about making sure the message is across the board. And whoever we bring on staff needs to be saying the same message. We all need to be using the same logo, the same rhetoric.
Yeah.
And if we're not using the same marketing tools, then you're not
It's gonna
being
hurt.
consistent with the rest of us.
Rick, I have a question for you on hiring an intern. You might know this. If we hired an intern and we offered them $15 an hour, 20 hours, what are we responsible for benefit-wise? Would we have to do benefits?
They do
part-time?
not have to, we wouldn't have to pay city benefits unless they work 30 hours. 30 hours is the
Okay.
cutoff between city benefits and not having city benefits.
I got you. So, and I don't know, I don't think most interns probably don't get benefits on a job, right? So we would definitely want to make sure we keep them at 25 would probably be the cap. Okay, thank you. So we're looking at 25 hours max per week. Okay. Any other things on the intern? If not, we'll move on to events and then we'll wrap up this workshop. It's
Yep.
already been an hour. Events, I talked to Butch yesterday. My understanding is that we're still on track for July, right? We're still, I think, on track. Melissa, we have a mask
We have,
mandate recommendation kind of
the mask ordinance is good unless we take action until June 30th.
so June 30th, okay.
Yeah.
And so I think we're still on track
Right.
for those. I did, and I talked to Ron earlier, but Rick, you will know, it looks like we've still got something scheduled in the odd. We have a concert scheduled that is going to be moved. Can you tell us what's going on with that?
Sure. We have Robert Earl King that's actually
right.
still on the schedule for May.
May
It is not-
22nd, yep.
It is not going to play in May. Right now, it's looking like it's going to be September.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Unfortunately, they won't let me take the ticket link down until they set the new date because they want to
Right,
inform the ticket buyers all at once that the new date, because they give them a window of 30 days to get a refund, or else if they don't do it then they have their tickets.
Has the Robert Earl Keene camp gotten in touch with us as to,
It's not us, it's Little Wing Productions out of Tulsa.
Okay.
I just talked to Larry, the owner of that, this morning, and he is really on him about getting a date.
Okay, that's good, because I think we should probably put a post out on the odd, and maybe put something on the website and on the calendar. Would be
Yeah,
great.
he just told me this morning that he wants me to send him an email of a deadline of the 23rd of this month to have the rescheduled date, or we're going to have to make some kind of a statement like that,
Yeah.
that it's postponed or whatever.
That would be great, because we've had several people
I actually
asking.
just sold 2 tickets yesterday.
Did you?
For May, so it's still on sale, and normally we will take it off of the ticket system to be determined, but this management company doesn't want us to do that, and it's,
I think it's better to postpone it and still have the event, obviously. We want
Right.
to have the event. So even though I think it's causing a little confusion now, I still think if we could quickly try to get a new date and get it, that would be great. Do we have any other events scheduled here in the odd?
the first actual, it's not really an event here, the Eurekan does its awards ceremony in here
Okay.
on Sunday, July the 18th. 25th, I'm sorry, I got a wrong date.
July 25th.
July 20th is our actual first, and then in August, we have Talent on Parade, which is wanting to do their dance competition in here. That still remains to be seen about
What was the date on that?
August the 13th and 14th.
Okay.
And then we skip from those two to October. Delbert McClinton is verified for October the 15th. We have Coco Peru scheduled for November 6th for Diversity Weekend. Of course, then we have Folk Festival the next weekend, which doesn't have an act booked yet, but Larry is trying to.
Good.
It's harder to book a certain day
Right.
like that than it
Yeah.
is. So, but he is working on that as well.
Okay.
Rob Earl Keene, he's trying to push to a September date, which is the one that's on sale right now. He has offers out on multiple acts. Dwight Yoakam either would play in October or November. Willie Nelson would be August the 20th
Wow.
is the date the contract is out for. That's not done yet. George Thorogood, he's looking to play in December. Lyle Lovett in September. Future Feemster is a comedian that would be in November, November the 7th. That's not completed yet either. Marshall Tucker would be October the 29th. That's not confirmed, but he does have an offer out there. You had asked about his protocol for this course. It's kind of
Right.
up in the air right now, but
Yeah.
he has told me that nobody gets in the building without a temperature check. Whenever we have this building full, there's lines down the sidewalks. He wants to have people going both ways taking temps. If their temp is high, they get their money back. They can't enter the building. Of course, we still have mandates through the state. I had filed one for Charlie Daniels' concert. It's not hard to do, and that's actually something that the venue itself has to do. Right now, we can have 100 people in here, but
All right.
if things clear up, I mean, they're on the right trend right now. If they clear up, that stuff could change. But as far as the actual protocol, I have to give them maps of the facility and where the hand stations are and where the exits are, and it's all part of that, which I did, and it was really simple, and I did get approval
Good.
for the Charlie Daniels. Unfortunately, he passed, but
All right. Gotcha.
So
Okay.
are we limited to, we're limited to 100 people through what date?
until the governor changes his directive.
And that's the large venue directive,
Right.
right?
It's as long as his executive order is in place, unless he makes a change to it, we're limited for 100 people in here at a time, without one of these.
Does that have like a sunset clause on that executive? Do we know?
I think it ends in the end of June as well.
June 30th, yeah.
He can extend it. As the numbers are right now, I don't know that he will. as long as they can get enough people vaccinated before then. That's the reason he extended it this time, is to make sure that people can get vaccinated for free.
Okay. Events, any,
Yeah, Rick, for future reference, a lot of that information is good, and I appreciate it. That's new to me. I was trying my best to figure out who am I supposed to talk to about events at the Odd?
Right.
Who is the contact?
Well,
Whose job?
Right now, I'm the contact.
Okay.
The auditorium was actually put on the events person's job description and taken off of mine, so it's not on mine. However, I'm covering it
Is there,
as I have in the past,
I
because
know
there's
Ron
nobody else
takes
to do
care
it.
of a lot of stuff, audio, visual, and so on. I'm just trying to learn the structure of things. Is there someone who manages the Odd?
No.
Okay.
It was me, I actually wasn't deemed, the executive director was the manager of the auditorium. However, they never took part in that. It was kind of put on me. And I've been working with Little Wing Productions since 2013.
Okay.
He loves our team of me and Ron and Sarai,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what makes him comfortable. But right now, there's no auditorium manager. So,
That's good to know.
and that's something we have to look at. You bring a show in here like Willie Nelson, you've got to hire like 25 people and have additional volunteers.
Agreed.
So with nobody in place to make that happen, we need to be thinking about that. Like I said, I mean, our first big concert, I think, is October, where we would really need a staff, because you get into the big names. Willie Nelson usually has 3 buses. We have to have parking lot security of like 6 to 10. I mean, it grows up with a lot of staff when you get to the big acts, so.
yeah.
But Larry, I actually just talked to him today. He just wanted to tell you that right now he has $340,000 worth of contracts out. So he's in
He's
to make
active.
this place rock
Awesome.
as soon as he can.
Okay.
So,
One of the things that we need to put on our agenda moving forward is we need to put on the agenda, and Rick and I have had this conversation, and we've done a walkthrough here. We really need to address the basement, the potential of an elevator, so that we could use that, because as we move forward with these concerts, it would really be beneficial to us if we could have overflow in the basement, we could have concessions in the basement. There's a lot of stuff that we could do here with the Odd. And I'm not saying this is the time for that conversation. What I'm saying is that this is probably the time for us to look at our agenda over the next few months and pick a workshop pretty soon where we really dive deep into what would it cost to update the auditorium to get it to where it's more usable for a lot of events.
You may want to talk to Butch, because we explored that.
Yeah, I have
And-
talked to Butch, and he actually sent me some drawings, and we've had
Okay.
this, and I know this is a bigger conversation than, as a city
Yeah.
council, this is a big, but I'd like
Yeah.
to, I think it would benefit us overall in the long term if we had a situation here where, because we have 980 seats somewhere.
986.
Yeah. And so we would have what I know we have now is we have congestion, especially when people are just going out to get their drinks and whatever, or restroom. If we
Right.
added restrooms to the basement, people could go down there and we could have a screen and they could still enjoy the concert, and we could almost have a beer garden area down there, and
Right.
we wouldn't add occupancy. We would just add more space, usable space. So I'd like for us at some point, put that on the agenda
We
and find
really-
out
yeah.
what that would.
We need to address part of if you think it's tough getting a Coke, imagine if there was a fire in here. We need to really look at safety, and I'm sure Ron could address a lot of our backstage issues. One of the biggest problems with the Odd is that we don't have fly space, that we don't have the space we need to bring in like a touring show. And I think if we're going to get into any large money with the auditorium, we really need to look at it from that aspect. Grant money would possibly be available for some of that sort of thing, but one of the reasons the opera can't perform in here is they don't have fly space. And I know we've talked about this before, but one of the reasons a lot of the larger acts can't come in, they don't even have room for their sound equipment. So, we really we have to really think about it, not just in terms of the audience, but in terms of what acts we can bring in.
Sure. No, I agree. I think it is a big topic, but I think I think we should have that
Right.
conversation and see if we can't work together to make the auditorium. We have such a historic building here and so many great acts that anything that we can do to enhance it, I think we probably should take a shot at it.
Well, it is considered our convention center, so we are allowed to spend our tax money on it.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, we'll put that on the agenda for a month or two away where we can
Okay.
kind of, because we'll have to do some background work to get that. There was- Okay, anything else?
You want to just dive right in?
We don't have a quorum, so we'll,
Yeah, we have a quorum.
You've got a quorum.
We've got
With
four.
four?
Yep.
Just 4, that's all it takes.
well, okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and we'll get into our meeting. You guys want to take a break or you want to?
No, I'm fine.
Say dive right in.
All right. Okay, so thank you guys for coming to our meeting. I want to call it to order. Let me get my paperwork in order here. Carol, would you do our roll call, please?
Patrick Burnett,
Here.
Jeff Carter,
Here?
James DeVito, absent. Bobby Foster, absent. Melissa Green,
Here.
Carrie Meyer, absent. Carol Wright, present. We have a forum.
Okay, the minutes. See if I've got it in my minutes here.
Actually, there's one correction that needs to be made on the second page,
Okay,
where it says, at the very bottom, change to next meeting, special meeting, March. It should be 18th, not 19th.
I still haven't found them in my paperwork here.
Was that the 8th? That was Friday, right?
10th. There they are.
That was the 19th, wasn't it?
I thought did we meet on Thursday or did we meet on Friday?
Oh, goodness, I thought it was Friday for some reason. I had it in my calendar as Friday.
I think it was Friday.
Okay, all
I
right, so the
think.
19th is correct then.
Yeah.
I know that because that was my mom's birthday and she was coming into
Got
town,
it.
so.
Okay, it's correct. Yeah, I think originally we had wanted to do it on the 18th. Okay, good. So it's correct as it was.
Okay,
Anybody want to make a motion?
yeah, let's make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of March 10th, 2021.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are ratified, passed.
Okay. You know, I should restate that motion for the March 10th, 2021 meeting as amended, because we amended.
We didn't change it.
We ended up not changing it.
Oh,
We ended
okay.
up not changing
All
it.
right,
so yours
sorry
is
about
fine.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Financials?
These are actually a month behind because we didn't have our last meeting. So
So-
I'll address all of these today, and then at our next meeting, what we'll do, like we normally do. for-
We'll get back on track?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
so we
this
can
is
get back
from
on
what
track.
month? This is from what month?
These are
January?
February's,
These are February?
right.
Okay.
The cash balance as of February 28th was $658,758.67. Historical comparison, tax remitted in February, which are January collections. Food and beverage, $39,623, up $1,142 or 3%. Lodging, $26,380, down $4,064 or 13.4%. Total collections, $66,003, was down $2,922 or 4.2%. Year-to-date, total collections, $149,469, is down $5,796 or 3.7%. The 21 budget comparison for the collections. Food and beverage are up $9,623, or 32.1%. Lodging down $3,620, or 87.9%. Total collections up $6,166, or 10.3%. Year-to-date total collections are up $24,829, or 19.9%. That's kind of is varied like that budget-wise because we budgeted soft the first of the year. Last year, the first quarter, we were up 23%, and we
Yeah.
didn't feel like we were going to be that strong this year coming out of COVID. So we budgeted down a little bit. So budget-wise, we're in great shape. Year over year, we're down just 3.7%.
So this is a comparison to February of last year?
Right.
So that was before COVID, so we were doing well.
Right.
And so we're down a small amount from that, you said, from last year?
Yeah, from last year, with 3.7%.
I'm looking at lodging at 87.9%. Is that correct?
Yeah, this time of year is a small number of collections, so a little bit of money makes a big difference in the percentage.
Yeah, it was only down $3,000, but $3,000 ended up being 87%.
Was that because of the weather?
It could be that, or just even if, like, one hotel didn't remit on time, that can throw it way off because they are a larger collector. And I think, I'm not positive, but I think that we had a hotel that was late in paying.
So going forward, I think given that COVID sort of reared mid-March last year,
Right.
it might be nice for us to see what was going on in 2019, 20,
Okay?
and 21, because it's going to be way off.
Yeah, these percentages,
Right.
not necessarily for this month that I do for last month, but going from there are going to be like crazy,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. So if we
because,
could compare it to maybe 2 years ago,
You
that
bet.
Yeah,
might be
let's-
better.
Let's definitely add 2019
you bet.
to our comparisons so
you
that we
bet.
can get a better.
It'll give you a clearer picture than, because
Yeah.
comparing to last year is going to be, the percentages are going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, any of this other stuff you guys want to, you have any questions on budget for Rick before we just approve this, you guys? Yeah. Somebody would like to make a motion?
I move that we approve the financials.
Still
Yeah,
not used.
we're still looking at it.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I've asked Rick and Karen to kind of just give us updates just on day-to-day activities around the office, and I just kind of left this at their discretion to kind of tell us how things were going. So, what do you guys want to start?
In the finance side of it, it's been pretty quiet. I've kind of been working on our budget adjustment. I had given, at our last regular meeting, an adjustment suggestion for the Paradise change of $226,000. We ended up not doing the $226,000, we did $166 or whatever.
66, yeah.
So I actually gave you a copy in your packet of the original draft, which says Draft 1. I've since changed that down to, it shows Draft 2, bringing those expenses down to the $166,500, which actually leaves $59,250, which is kind of just out there for expenses that's not dedicated to anything, since we didn't spend the whole
So,
220.
yeah, I'd like to see the May Festival go back up to its $25,000. I think that'd be a good use of some of that money. folk festival as well. But that's like, what, 40, 55,000? It's almost all of it.
If we put those two back in there, that leaves us 9250. We could actually put in contingency for the sticker program or something,
Yeah.
if you wanted to, just to make it has to balance one way or another, but I did split out on this draft too, the different categories of the spend to Paradise. Originally, it was all just one lump sum under social web, but since it was broke out into website and this, I put it in the categories which would actually change. This isn't something you need to vote on today necessarily. We will need to appropriate the money for the Paradise edition of 166, but it doesn't necessarily have to be done today. We can, if y'all want to look through this some more and
I think we do. I
decide.
do for sure. I want to take a little time to look at this and I think that because we're a little bit short with some commissioners, I think it would be smart for them to be here
It's a
for us.
good idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
so,
We don't have any large collectors that are delinquent right now. Actually, our delinquent list is pretty small considering that we've been coming out of COVID, so we're good there. I'm still just sending out the late letters, nice late letters. I haven't sent any closure letters. I added an extra month. Typically, after 2 months, they get a closure letter. I haven't been sending out, because the state's not either. I've been just sending them the second letter for the third month, so.
okay.
But that list is very small. I think maybe there was 2 on there that were at the 3-month stage, so.
And actually, my point was with the 2 things I talked about, but we should look at all of them. I think when we open up, it's really important that we do what we do really well. So I don't
Absolutely.
want to see the money taken out of those events. I think
Right.
everybody's expecting us to really step up.
Right. And one other thing we're going to have to think about is the auditorium. We have money in salaries for the auditorium, but at some point, if we get all of these contracts to come through for these big events, you're going to have somebody
Sure. Yeah,
managing this facility, besides me just doing the contract work with Larry, so, and again, that's probably down the road. Larry wanted me to let you know today that even on these later year events, he really needs to be up online ticketing 90 days ahead, so even though the concert may be in October, he can't wait till October for everything to be in place, to make those happen, so. Not that we need to do something today, but we need to really be thinking about how that's all going to happen.
okay. I think we'll let everybody get a chance to look at this real close, and then we'll try to finalize some stuff at our next meeting. I did have a question, Rick. I know that you and I talked about changing kind of how we work with Right Minds to try to save some money there.
Right.
Are we getting a new contract with them? Where did we leave that?
I talked to them and we discussed going by the job, bidding
Right.
by the job.
Okay.
Of course, we were a month behind because we didn't have a signer, so you actually have a bill there with the checks
Okay.
today, which is actually a little bit more than their normal fee. They have broken it all out on there, what
Good,
they've done.
good.
But we had them to make new logo decals for our signs, and they came out and put those on.
Yeah.
And they came out and did a video shoot during last month, so it's a little bit different. If you all want to do a contract with them,
Okay.
they're fine with that.
So we're just piecemealing it to them now?
Right now,
Because just
right now.
for those of you who don't know, we had a contract with them, and the contract was $3,500, right? Is that $3,500?
$3,500 a month.
It was $3,500 a month, and it was kind of a retainer, and we just used them as we needed them. And so it kind of, with COVID and some of that, it kind of seemed like we weren't getting full value. We just didn't have enough stuff to keep them busy, so
Right.
Rick and I just talked and said, hey, let's cut this back, and if we get to the place where we have enough work for them, then we could consider going back to a contract where, but until, in the meantime, we could save some money by just simply only hiring them when we need them. Paying them by the hour or by the job.
Right.
And we'll work that as we go. Okay, and then, this is not a big ticket item, but I asked Rick to consider canceling this water jug thing that we have at the office.
Yeah, it's a Culligan water
Right.
machine that's drinking water.
If there's any other areas that you can identify that we can save money,
There,
please bring those to us.
absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Anything else you guys have for Rick on
Nope.
his report? Karen?
There are quite a few private events that are going on in the next 2 or 3 months that are going to contribute to the population of the community that I'll get to those in just a minute. Tomorrow, I have a travel writer from Premier Travel Media who publishes several magazines targeting group travel. He is actually coming in tonight to spend the night and do basically a fam tour. He's going to do a story about Arkansas and wants to include Eureka Springs. I'll be with him tomorrow afternoon. Most of his trip is going to be self-led, but because some of the attractions are still under COVID restrictions, they have requested that he be escorted out to where we're going. So I'll be out of the office tomorrow from about 1:15 for the rest of the day with him. The Spring Fling Motorcycle Rally is April the 21st through the 25th. That's going to generate a lot of traffic. Also, on that weekend, the 23rd, 24th, 25th, separate and apart from the Spring Fling, is a group of 40 motorcycle riders who are coming to town, not because of the rally, but because they make a trip together somewhere in the United States about every 3 years. This year they're coming here, they're staying in lodging properties up on the rim. Yards and yards of yard sales, April 23rd and 24th. So again, that weekend in April is going to be really busy.
It is.
May 21st and 22nd, Sun Tours out of New Mexico is bringing a motor coach to Eureka Springs. There will be, right now, the head count is at 38 people. May 21st through the 23rd, Agape Tours out of Texas will be here for 2 nights. Right now, their head count is at 28. May 27th through the 30th, the Christian Motorcycle Association Regional Rally will be held in Eureka Springs. June 10th through the 13th, the National Mustang Car Show will be held in Eureka Springs. June 15th through the 17th, Travel Masters out of Oklahoma City will bring a motor coach with 30-plus people on board. Their cutoff date has not arrived yet, so that number may change up or down. On June the 26th, the Rotary District Governor's Installation Weekend will be held in Eureka Springs. I have been asked to help with that during the weekend. In June, we don't have an exact date yet. Star Destinations out of Iowa will be bringing a motor coach here for a day trip. I do have on the books 4 more motor coaches that are planning trips to Eureka Springs later in the year. We're just now in the itinerary building phase of the trip, so I don't have a lot of information on that yet.
How has the response been as you reach out to people? How's the response been to the kind of the changes in COVID? Like, so obviously we have tourists that are coming from all over, and all of those areas have different mask, mandates.
A lot of, still doing social distancing on the motor coaches. The motor coaches are not at full 58-person capacity. Some companies are requiring their travelers to have both COVID vaccines. Some are not. And some of them are requiring masks on the motor coach. Some are not. And they are adhering to the regulations of the individual states and/or cities that they visit.
Okay. Questions? No. I just have another one. So what's the best way for us, Karen, to get the word out on some of this group travel and some of this events that you're working on? Like, for example, the one-wheelers were in town, they were up at the Passion Play, and I know that's not part of your job and you weren't involved in that. But how can we build a better communication structure where when those things are happening, groups like Main Street and Heart of Eureka and, anyone who wants to know about these events and even lodging and restaurants, how can we build a better platform so that
Well, and that's been an ongoing, I don't want to use the word problem, but
right.
if lodging properties who have groups come, not all of the groups come through me.
I understand. Yeah, I totally get it.
So if the lodging properties would let me know that
Sure.
they have these things going on, then I could get the information out. Like the motorcycle group that I was talking about, the 40, who are coming separate and apart from the spring fling. Had she not called me, the organizer not called me directly today asking specific questions about the trolley and the Passion Play and things like that, I wouldn't have known they were coming.
Right.
And I was even more surprised when she said that they had these dates and their trip planned, not even knowing that the spring fling rally was happening. So if I know that occasionally I will see things on Facebook that a merchant downtown has posted, that sororities in town or et cetera, that if they don't come through our office, I don't know unless the lodging property or
Right, yeah.
somebody tells me.
Yeah, if there's a,
And sometimes they won't.
yeah.
Sometimes they just won't.
Yeah, I would, obviously, it would just be much better, I don't know what the words there are, but if we had, for example, even if the merchants knew, and I don't know how to make that, because obviously it's communication, kind of you got, any thoughts you guys have on how we could?
Well, and before
No,
COVID
that's a
hit,
very good point.
Yeah.
before COVID hit, Jeff, I mean, I was going to the Heart of Eureka meetings.
Sure.
We had the bags, we had the bracelets, we had signs,
Yeah.
and then COVID hit, everything came to a screeching halt. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm surprised I have this much to report,
Right.
because it's all happened within the past 3, maybe 4 weeks. So I am happy to start back up going to those meetings, sending out emails, sending out any kind of information anybody wants, if I have the information that they need.
Thoughts?
No, I'm glad you said that about lodging operations who have big groups coming in to lay it on you, because as soon as I'm actually in contact with one of our guests that's coming in from, which I didn't even realize how to pronounce it until she taught me. They're from Natchitoches, Louisiana.
Louisiana.
I thought it was Nacogdoches. It was.
Natchitoches.
She laughed and laughed. You Arkansans. But we've got it. Our entire place has been booked, so that's like 30 some odd people coming in just for this one motorcycle group. And they've never told me if they're part of a larger group. Is there something private going on in town? So I thought I would find that out. And if I find something out, I'll pass it on to you if that's okay.
Great.
That'd be great. I love knowing this kind of information.
And I have little tchotchkes that I can give them.
Awesome.
I have motorcycle ride guides, I have little koozies, I have bags, I have, stuff.
It's those little things that can
Yeah.
make their stay, and then
Right.
they keep coming back, and they build to bigger and bigger. So I mean, this is a great promotional opportunity for
Right.
sure. So that's good to know. We probably need to figure out a way to get it out to a lot of the lodging properties, like you said, to let them know, if they got a group, let you know.
Well, and again, we try.
Oh, no.
Every season we try.
People,
So-
being an innkeeper has taught me that people don't always go the most logical route to getting things done.
Well, and I don't misunderstand me. I realize how busy y'all are. I really do. And picking up the phone to call Karen to say, hey, I've got 27 people from Natchitoches here, is not on the top of your to-do list.
No, I think it's
But
great if we can. I didn't even know that was possible.
It would
Yeah.
really help.
I love it. That's awesome.
Anything else for Karen? No? Okay.
I just have one little point on that.
Yeah.
We actually do, in fact, Patrick just did it for us yesterday. When we do get information from, yesterday it was a store that's doing a stroll
Right.
of shops and stuff downtown, we do have a mass mail out to local businesses that we send out. Unfortunately, if you look at the analytics, we can see who opened it, we can
Yeah.
see who. Typically, if we send out 311 people might open it, 11 business owners, and I get it, we all get so much email and stuff. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, we can still do that and get some of those people, but to get them to open it and read it and know what's going on.
I think this is an area that an intern might really be able to help us,
Yeah.
because it's a lot of picking up the phone
Right.
and just calling key people, and it's a lot of stuff that I know that you guys don't necessarily have time to do, but it's a lot of just work that, and so maybe as we move forward with an intern, maybe one of the things that we could consider for them to do is to try to identify events and try to build some communication processes there. Okay. I want to make sure we had public comments, so does anybody have public comments for us? Okay, no public comments. Any agenda updates that you guys have? Are we good with the agenda that we have? Okay. And of course, I have our old business for us to go over was the tourism, which we talked about in our workshop. I guess the question is since there's just four of us, do we actually want to vote, or do we want to wait until we have our other commissioners here?
I really think we need to get on this.
Yeah.
We can post it,
Okay.
and I would suggest a 30-day posting. We really need to get this done.
Do you know where we'll be
agree.
posting this? Is this Indeed? Is it going to go out to Monster? I mean, who?
Rick, what have we done in the past? We've done, to market a position.
It goes on the city's website,
Okay.
the CAPC website, and Indeed generally. is
Okay,
what we
that's
do.
good. And they're all editable, so if we look at it and realize we needed to add something, we can always add it.
You bet.
Hopefully, we don't need to, hopefully it'll go quickly, but I say I'll bring a motion that we vote on the revised description that we worked on in the workshop.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we got a motion from, let me write this down. And a second from Melissa. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so it carries 4-0. And that is to move forward with this,
Yep.
Yep.
and, okay.
You wrote that on your sheet. Did you want me to type that up?
I want you to type it up.
Yeah,
Since
I will.
it's your adjustment, you type
will.
that up.
I will.
And get it to, Rick, we give that to you right away?
Send it to me at the
Okay.
I
Send
sure
that-
will, I sure
We'll
will.
send that to you, Rick, and Kim.
Who do you want the information to go to? Should it go to Lynn?
It should go to Lynn.
Okay,
Yep, let's send it to Lynn, so let her might be the recipient of all of our applicants.
Okay.
And then Patrick, we don't really, I got Paradise Marketing here as an old business, but I don't really think, we kind of went over all that. You guys, we don't really, is there anything?
I'll update it in the minutes from our meeting.
Okay, okay. New business, intern for marketing. Do we want to approve the hire of an intern?
Is this going to be like a yearly job or a summer job?
I think it would be, I would see that as a yearly job. And now, the interns we're going to see different interns.
Right.
yeah.
I think, but I'm okay and comfortable, and I think what we were talking about is a part-time yearly job that's an intern,
Okay.
and that we work with the university, and then we just see a different intern. It could be every semester, because they're obviously going to be with the school, or it could be a summer intern.
Which, when Harry first started talking about this, the name Heidi from U of A came up as one of the potential candidates, and I think she was looking for something during the summer, but then
Okay.
as soon as the semester starts, yeah, we can take on someone else, and that would be utilizing Harry's contact at the U of A in the advertising department, is that we put that job
Yeah.
out there, and then we just interview, whenever
We
that
interview
comes
them and hire
about, we
'em.
interview them.
Okay. Well, doing $15 an hour, 20 hours for 12 months came to $14,400. So I'll make a motion that we budget $15,000 and start looking for an intern.
Okay,
I'll second it.
Okay?
so we've got a motion from Melissa, and we've got a second from Carol. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 to hire an intern, $15,000 per year. Okay,
Okay.
great. The social media print materials, we already have contingency for that. Do we want to vote on setting a budget of $3,000 to do stickers?
I move we hire Right Minds
Okay,
with our contingency budget of $5,000.
okay.
Okay, I'll second that.
And so we have a first from Carol and a second from Melissa. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that motion carries 4-0.
I'll be happy to contact them
Okay?
on your behalf, on our
Thank you.
behalf.
Yeah,
Thank you,
please
Patrick.
do, thank you. We have marketing support here also as well. I think, let's see what we have here. We have the chamber.
Okay.
Devin, I see you're here. Would you like to come up and try to keep it brief, but give us an overview of what you guys are looking for?
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for giving me the time
Thank
today.
you
Yeah,
for
we're just
coming.
looking for marketing support to pay for postage on the 2021 Eureka Springs Visitor Guide, which I've got the design done. It's at the printer. Printed copies will be out within a week. Digital copies already up on the website, which we do strong digital views too, to the tune of about $250,000 a year, but the mailings are extremely important. And so right now, we're anticipating on mailing about 20,000 guides, so that amount doesn't really cover all that postage, but it sure does help out. We still get plenty of requests for them, and they're an important piece for the town.
How many did you guys mail out last year?
Last year, we mailed out about 10 to about 12,000.
Okay. So last year you mailed out 12,000, and this year you're thinking it's going to be more?
Well, it's picking up, and so we're hoping it'll be more. We're earmarking 20,000 of the guides to mail.
Okay.
How is the book divided up? How is it organized? Are you selling like real estate? What
So
types of
You guys
things?
want to see it? I'll get it and bring it up here. Do you have a copy?
I have the hard proof, so this isn't the quality of what will be printed, but this
It's
will
a
give you.
proof?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get it. We can pass it around up here.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to mention that, so 25,000 of these printed guides go to Little Rock, to the Welcome Center headquarters for the 14 Welcome Centers in Arkansas, and then they distribute those 25,000 to the Welcome Centers throughout the state, and they've told us on numerous occasions that we're the most requested guide in the Welcome Centers.
And did you say how many total prints?
60,000.
60,000, okay. And then last year we did, what did we do to help you last year? Was it
I believe it was 5.
5,000, is that right, Rick? That's what we did? Rick, do we have, I know we have, what's our total marketing support budget right now? Was it, did we lower that? One time it was around 35?
Sorry, let me get my glasses on here. Go back to my first draft. It was budgeted at 29,000
Okay,
for this year. Of course, we had discussed changing that to a grant program, so it's not in that line
Right.
on your current sheet, but originally it's 29,000.
so that's our total right now, approved,
Right.
$29,000.
Uh-huh.
And do we don't have any other marketing support that we're actually,
We have one from the Eurekan
right?
tonight, and then I know that Mardi Gras is going to be putting one in,
Uh-huh.
which is for December and January of
Right.
this year. But,
We probably won't review that until October, right?
yeah, I haven't received it yet, so.
Okay, so,
Yeah, and, we requested 5,000 because we thought that's what we might be able to safely get. But, I do want to mention that, in moving forward, I think that we should really discuss with Paradise some things with the guide. And one of those being, we used to do a big mass mailer when we first got them printed. So anybody who had requested a guide in the last 2 or 3 years, we would automatically send them a new guide. I would say that, Paradise probably knows best in those kind of situations, but I think it's something we should ask them, should we be sending those mass mailings of guides like we used to? And if so, it might be worth a little more money to put toward the postage to kind of get that big dump out.
Patrick, I think that's probably a question for you. As far as marketing goes, prints change so much, and Paradise is very digitally minded. By the way, hi, Harry. Welcome.
Fell asleep in my chair.
It's okay, we've all been asleep here, too. Well, thoughts? Last year, we gave them money for postage last year,
Right.
but obviously our marketing support is really limited. It's $29,000, and we're still going to have other people that are going to want marketing support, and so,
Devin, do you, when people email for like a guide, do you respond back that it's online and then do they still want one, or will they read it online?
Yeah, and so typically what we're finding, and yes, and we do the same when they call in as well. So typically we'll let them know it's available online. More often than not, they want the printed copy. A lot of time when they're requesting it from the website, they can see that it's available online as well, and they want that copy. And you know, and the data that we've read, that and some of the other large hoteliers in the area, you know, still about 40% of travelers are making their travel decisions using one of these printed guides. You know, and this one is the most complete one in town. And you know, we would love to work with Paradise for. I mean, we welcome it. You know, we reach out to the CAPC yearly, and this year was no different, trying to get some collaboration on the guide so we can make this the best possible guide for Eureka Springs with all the correct wording and lingos and logos, so that way all the money that we're spending with Paradise, we're not counteracting it, and we're kind of all working in tandem.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because that was actually one of my first things that I was going to mention, was that in moving forward, I would love to see, you know, us utilizing the brand across every medium.
Are you done with that? Come on,
Yeah,
Bob.
well, I was still looking at it,
they
but
may
you
want to
asked
see
me a
it
question.
down
Oh, I saw it online, so I'm fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know that the online version, the first year that we were in business, was a moving target. Every time I'd post it on our website, you would move it somewhere else, and I couldn't link to it. It wasn't working, and so I'd sent a lot of our guests to it, and they couldn't find it. So getting that resolved would be wonderful, or having a permalink that we can place on our website so that our guests can go to it. That'd be great. We have a very interesting mix, and this is just me personally speaking as an innkeeper. We have a very interesting mix of older guests that don't want to deal with digital stuff, and then we have 35, 40 and under who that's all they want. They come to me and they ask, why don't you have a proper app, you know, that has all of that same information? You know, why can't I bring it up on my phone? There's so many people that we get that's what they want. They look at the book in the room and they leave it there, and you give us a lot of them, and we've never actually replaced but maybe 10 in the past year and a half.
Sure.
So they're not moving on our side. We're not seeing a lot of people taking them with us. I think that we're right now in the world at the cusp of print. We're at the apex of whatever quantity you're printing right now. It should diminish from here forward. You should not be printing as many, because I think print is dying. We need to find a digital solution that's going to be easy, but most importantly is it needs to be mobile friendly.
Sure.
And in the current format, in a booklet, it doesn't come up on a phone very well, so I find a lot of people complaining about that as well.
Agreed, yeah, and I appreciate that input, and I will say that that your particular experience with them moving seems to be somewhat unique as far as from what I'm hearing, because all the other properties, I shouldn't say all, the properties
No.
that take them from us.
I think I tried it that first year, and then the link quit working. I had a guest tell me, it's like, well, it doesn't work. I said, no, go to our website. You'll find the visitor guide. It's excellent. It's right there. And they're like, no, it doesn't work. It's dead. So I went and checked it, and it was a dead link.
Yeah, I mean.
So I never tried it again. I never even
Sure.
attempted last year. Of course, then COVID happened, and then it was all bets are off.
Yeah, and I know it's working fine. I'm not
That's
aware of
good.
that issue, and that should have went through me. So anytime things like that happen, if somebody lets me know, I can get them fixed usually right away. But I
I
don't.
think I mentioned it to Jerry up at the front desk,
Okay.
and you weren't there at that time, and then she was like, it should work. And I said, well, I'll try it again.
Right.
And then, of course, we got busy, and I forgot about it. So, you know, it's
Yeah.
one of those things. Following up would have been good, but it was something that was on my mind because, you know, I have very limited time as a proprietor to do something like that, and if it didn't work, I'm just not going to visit
Understood.
it again. And then that's kind of where I stand on it. But as far as a graphic designer and my previous history in advertising, you know, digital is where it's going, but we have to be very cognizant of the age groups, the demographics, because we are going to find some of those 45, 54-year-old up that that demographic, they don't want to deal with the phone, they don't want to deal with digital. They'll look it up on Google before they'll actually go to a specific app or to a specific website. So that's not a solution either, because they'll just ask Siri or ask Alexa or whatever.
Well,
And so, and a lot of our, locations here in town don't update their Google, so that doesn't help them. And that's why a visitor guide has always been a fantastic idea. I love the design and I love what you've put together. If we could figure out a way to go forward in the future to a more digital, mobile-friendly medium, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. And, I will say that we're getting a younger crowd in the office too. And a lot of them are picking them up just to take, just as a souvenir, and I think that's really cool, but what I did with this guy, just so you know, to comment on that, I kind of tried to incorporate, so like the calendar of events in that guide, events were so crazy I couldn't get confirmation. So there's a QR code.
Saw that.
And they, it's the same with the bike trails. And so, I've been trying to work over the last couple years to try to mix the digital and the print, because it's obvious, the print's declining. And the amount that we printed, that we're printing this, the 60,000, should be about spot on. They used to print a lot more. We've tapered that down now to 60,000, and we won't go any higher on that.
That's good.
Unless something were to change and the requests were to just go through the roof and the demand was just through the roof. But we do get rid of a ton of them at the Arkansas Welcome Centers. A large portion of what we print goes to them, and the local Welcome Centers and the local businesses. But the mailing, we're finding that those leads are fairly strong. If somebody actually calls or goes online and requests one of these guides, the likelihood of them following through and coming to town seems like it would be greater, than somebody just going to the website and taking a look.
And we all kind of miss that kind of crowd that follows through, because, the bad thing about making things all digital and so easy is that you do get a lot of flippancy in the demographic and in the crowd.
Sure.
And we want people to make their mind up that they're coming here, and, that it is awesome to have something like that in their hands. And that when they do request it, that's awesome to hear that's what's happening. I do see it from the other point of view, is that we get a lot of guests that are in the 22 to 30 age range, and they go, well, I'll just Google it. And and I'm like, you can't do that in Eureka. We're not ready yet. There's still people updating their hours on their businesses. And there's businesses that are closed permanently that are still on Google.
That don't have Facebooks.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's very difficult, but we really are. We're on the cusp. We're in the age right now. So thinking of the future, that's great to hear, and I'm glad to hear it for the chamber.
I have a question for you. The people that request these books, either by email or by phone calling, do you keep a record of those people?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And so we have, I know I have access to all the guide requests from at least 2016 when our new system was implemented, and I'm sure I could find requests from before that. They can, the guests can opt in to share their information or not share their information. A large number of them do opt to share their information, and so then we pass that information on.
And who do you pass that on to?
Well, we pass it on to membership and to just about anybody in the destination as a whole that requests it. And so we do have non-members that get our leads because they asked us for them, and we think that no business is, even if they're not a member, they're a contributor to the destination, we want them to have access to the people that are wanting to come here so that they have the information and things that they need.
And the reason I ask that is that, our real duty is to our collectors, who are largely lodgers and restaurateurs. So I remember a couple of years ago, one of our big questions was, should we be supporting something that isn't inclusive of our members? So I would say going forward, that might be something to consider as well.
Well, and one thing I would like to comment on it. So there is there's a restaurant directory and a lodging directory. And so even if somebody doesn't opt in to advertise in the guide, they're still represented in one of those two directories.
Do they have to ask to be included?
No, they don't, and I try to keep it as up to date as I can every year. Sometimes new businesses will come in the middle of the design and I don't catch them, but But for the most part, I pretty much get them all in, or I sure try to.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so we try to keep everybody in mind. We think everybody's important, as far as making the destination is what it is. And, the whole goal for all of us, right, is to get more people to come here. And, and we really think this visitor guide does help contribute to that.
Great.
Rick, what is our budget for mail out? We do our own mail outs, right? And so what is our budget yearly that we have for those mail outs? And do we include any of these visitor guides in those mail outs from us directly?
Our budget is $25,000, but that includes printing the guides and mailing the guides.
And so the guides that you're talking about are like the dining guides that we've done in the past, and
Right, we have a vacation guide, a dining guide, and a wedding guide.
so the $25,000, that includes the printing of it and the, is there a way that we could, since we already have a budget there for mail outs, could we absorb some of that cost in our mail out already? And then not be directly mailed out from the chamber and us mail them out? How could we do
Well-
that? And how could we make this more efficient and cost less money is really what I'm trying.
Right.
And still get this product in the hands of the, tourist.
We could easily do that because I don't actually pay the chamber to mail these out. They use a company that bulk mails the visitor guides out, which is a lot cheaper than what we do. If we mail them out ourselves from our office, it's like $2.70 a piece.
Right.
Oh,
But the company that they use, it's like $1.
So we wouldn't necessarily save any money there.
no.
Yeah, we would save money.
Okay.
If we, it really doesn't matter which budget it comes out of, it'd be the same amount of money.
So we contribute to mailing these?
We have in the past.
Yeah, we have. How much did we do last year?
Five.
How much?
$5,000.
5,000, okay.
Yeah. We didn't spend quite that much. I mean, they didn't spend quite that much, but the budget was 5,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much did they spend last year on mail outs?
I don't have that with
Okay.
last year's with me, but I'm thinking it was like 3,900 to maybe
Okay.
4,200 right in there.
Okay.
And that also cover, not just postage, but it also covers handling as well.
Right.
So,
Okay. Thoughts? We need to make a decision.
I'm fine with supporting them again this year, reevaluating again next year as always. Just reapply, right?
Did you make a motion?
Yeah.
I can. I'll make a motion that we approve this request.
Okay. So, motion. Do we have a second for that?
I'd like to reduce it a little bit since we've got such a small one. I don't want to totally do it, but I'd be happier with like 3,000 since
Okay.
we have such a small budget for what we're doing this year.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we approve.
Well, wait, we
Wait.
have to,
Oh.
Patrick has to withdraw.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve $3,000 for the visitor guide of the chamber.
Do we have a second for that?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay.
Sorry, I
Okay,
was
so
talking.
Patrick will second that, and then, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye,
Aye.
Wait, so do we want to do a roll vote then?
yes.
Okay, let's take a roll vote. I'll let you keep that.
Okay.
Harry?
No.
No? Melissa?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
No.
Okay, does not pass.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Devin,
Thank you, guys.
for coming.
Jeff, do you mind if I get that hard proof back from you?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me,
Does the phone app still work?
Talk to Right Minds about that.
I
we-
deleted it off my phone.
I did too, because it's got so many errors, and actually was going to mention it to them. There's another fellow in town, I did not add that as an agenda, but it might be a nice workshop item in the near future.
Absolutely.
This guy's creating very interactive, his name's Tom, he did a lot of work for Got a Hold Brewery, and he's got, basically, he comped up Eureka Springs app.
We're
based on our
talking
current
digital here, that would be a
It
great...
is extremely savvy app. It has a lot of motion. It has a lot of movement to it. It's not a static. It was really pretty awesome. So I just didn't know if we had that budget.
Let's move on. We've got
Yep.
All Sports Production here, and is that Bruce? Are you- Nice to meet you, Bruce. Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Tell us about your event a little bit. And
Yeah, if I can, and forgive me, I'll try to get the 2-minute speech of
Yes.
All Sports Productions. Again, my name is Bruce Dunn, and 10 years ago, we were dreaming up a way to do something very unique, and I'll blame it on several people in Eureka Springs that came up with this crazy idea, and now we're here 10 years later. You have by the numbers, but the idea was that a lot of people train together and/or they do events by themselves, but they don't take their families because, like my wife and I, she's a runner and I'm a cyclist, and I just don't want to go to another running event, and or the same thing, she doesn't want to come to watch a bike race, or my friends. You know, we only have so many times to do things together, and so one of the unique things about this event is Eureka Springs was such a destination place that families could come together, and maybe one member of the family was a runner or a triathlete, the other was a cyclist. And then we came up with, we've got to have a hook. And the hook was a 3-day competition. And so to go back and talk about that, there's a triathlon, a very short distance triathlon at Holiday Island on a Friday. There's the big bike rides on Saturday that start and finish here right in front of the courthouse, and then the runs on Sunday. It's one of the toughest events around. In fact, people that do Ironman competitions say the Eurekan is much tougher than doing a 2.4-mile swim, a 112-mile bike, and a 26-mile run. Are you kidding me? But that's why we have such a unique event, and people are traveling here. And if you'll scroll back up, you'll see in 2019 in our recap, 94% are outside the 726 zip code. A lot of unique people, 13 states, 3 countries. This year, or in 2019, those 3 countries weren't by happenstance. They actually sought out the Eurekan because they were in this country and other states and decided to come here. And that is what this event and the community is so great. I'll tell you, I missed it in my life last year. I really do, because we come over here for 5 days. It is all in. Most of our events are 1-day events. Same amount of people, but they're 4 or 5 hours. But it's not just the event, it's the community. Rick and Dee, Bright, serve on the community. Ron's a great partner. We have city council members, the police, the fire, people in restaurants, hotels. They're on the local organizing committee. And so we really feel like we've built something. Quite frankly, I thought we would be over 1,000 people by now, but sometimes it is the uniqueness of an event that over time starts to build. Certainly we've knocked it out of the park with the demographics, the people that come here, the people that talk about us. And so I really believe our numbers speak for ourselves. I will address COVID-19. Obviously, event production in COVID-19 did not go well last year, but we produced 7 in-person events, all approved through the Arkansas Health Department. We did a Corps of Engineers property. We did a U.S. Forest Service property. We did events in 4 cities. And so our protocols are solid, even in the middle of a pandemic. And so we're really solid in what we're doing. We've already done 1 event already this year. The Arkansas Health Department has dropped the mandate for outdoor non-stadium events of seeking a permit. We had already gotten our permit for most of our events already. They sent us a letter and said, hey, you're crushing us with the 19 permits you're doing, and with the governor dropping that. So we will be, to address COVID-19, at the date of the event, we will be following CDC and Arkansas guidelines for best practices in COVID-19. And so we are very comfortable because we've produced all of these type of events last year. And so I think if there's any concern there. The marketing and sponsorship support that you're doing, and again, I think I pointed it out and alluded it to, we spend 5 days over here for basically the same amount of athletes that we can do in one day other places. But I believe the long-term uniqueness of this event is there's not many in the country. Coming out of COVID-19, I believe the time is now to double down. We have ourselves. And so we're leaning in, and I would appreciate the CAPC's continued support at the $5,000 level.
So total competitors for 2019, is that 683? Is that?
Unique competitors was the unique competitors were 414 with 400 and 209 out of state from 13 states and 3 countries. Those 414 competitors did 683 events because people were doing multiple events. And then there were 90 people that did the 3-day event, typically coming in for at least 3 nights because it's a hard event. And so, and our feedback is we're a little over 1,000 people when friends and family are with them. So it's almost 1, if not 1.5 to 2 people per participant.
How many, do you have a idea of how many booked hotel rooms? Do you have any, did you work with a particular hotel in town?
Well, what I will tell you is that we have a lot of restaurant partners, and Local Flavor and Mud Street are 2 of our biggest. We've set records, I think, 6 out of 9 years. Mud Street's total sales are the biggest of any year during the Eurekan, and that's amazing. I mean, I've been coming to that restaurant for a long time. Local Flavor's packed. So, you know, the hotels, we work with the both Best Westerns and Crescent and the Basin Park. Thank you.
Sure.
So those are the 4 we work with, and they always have good feedback for us. I can't give you the exact number on those.
But out of those 209, those people, those stayed here in town.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I would submit of the 94% are outside the 726. I would say that the bike ride starting at 7 a.m., if you're coming from more than 2 hours away,
right,
you're staying one of the nights. And I've said this, and so forgive me if you've heard this. Quite frankly, the 7149 corridor several years ago, and I believe because of this event, rediscovered Eureka Springs. I've been in Northwest Arkansas since 1982. A lot of my cycling and running friends had not been back for quite a long time. We came over in the 80s, hadn't been back, and they were coming over and doing the staycations and saying, wow, the town has changed. We love coming and biking and running, and we do other things. So I think it's just as much about the out-of-state competitors for sure, right? But I think it would be remiss if we didn't think about the state of Arkansas in that 3-hour circle too.
I'll make a motion that we support this event for $5,000 this year.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I'd like to have a little more discussion if you guys don't
Okay,
mind.
sure.
Because we supported you last year in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so last year we did support in that, and we, the event didn't happen.
Yep.
Correct? And so I have a couple questions. That money that was allotted to you last year, is any of that available for this year?
Well, I mean, we used it all for marketing and promotion. I mean, we used that early on. I mean, that's, you know, with a lot, and I will say this conversation has come up, quite frankly, with our other CAPC and A&P commissions. And the marketing and promotion we did for all of our events, whether they happened or not, we were still pushing that advertising, promotion to our databases and all. So, and I know people came to events because they talked about it, blogged about it. Quite frankly, if I hadn't have kept the support of the sponsors and our CAPCs last year, I wouldn't be standing in front of you.
Sure.
As you can imagine, this is my full-time job. This is not a side hustle. I do get it. It's a fair point. It's a fair question. But I believe your investment in us has kept us here and will continue to keep us strong and healthy, because I'm rolling over 170 registrations that I cannot recoup, right? That's coming straight out of, we've got to make up 170 just to get going again. That's not anyone's concern but myself, but it is in the mix.
So my second question kind of goes with that is, when you do your marketing, where are you generally spending your marketing dollars?
So we do Texas and Oklahoma print and digital. We're producing about 5,000 postcards. We're still talking about going back. Digital is obviously king, but we've gone old school and done goodie bag trades with lots of other big events in a 5-state region. And I will tell you, we do really nice postcards. There's not something you can just throw away. And we felt like there's some things we're getting inundated, so we do about 5,000 of those promotions, and then we boost Facebook quite a bit, and our database is almost 37,000 people.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Harry, I think you had something.
Yeah, when, say somebody registers to participate in the event,
Yes, sir.
do you give them a link to your website? And on your website, what does it say about Eureka? Does it list the hotels that are giving discounts? Is that right?
So what we do, this was pretty important for us. We have an entire dining section and an entire accommodation section. You are front and center in our promotion of Eureka Springs. I think the CAPC, the Downtown Business Association, the Chamber, and our businesses know that we're promoting, because we understand we have to put heads in beds, right, to get that support.
Right.
And so we have 2 dedicated sections on our website, and then we'll do promotions to highlight those, because we know that's very important.
My other question is, if we have a reverse in the in COVID, and the mayor extends his ban on events, it doesn't matter. As far as we're concerned, it doesn't matter what the governor says.
Yep.
We have to comply with those events, and if we give you money, then we're sponsoring your event. So I just want you to understand that.
Oh, very well.
That's part of the deal, and
Yep.
we hope it doesn't happen. And we'd love to have a bunch of bicyclists and so forth here. It would be just fantastic.
Sure, and certainly I was on the commission last year, and it was very kind of y'all and the groups over here to invite us into the conversation. We feel like we have definitely put a lot of people in this city over 9 years. And so, yes, it's an investment. We're not going away. We're in it for the long haul. My goal for this event is over 1,000 people. I believe it's one of the most unique things. We cannot create this event again. And so it's really the long-term investment. I'm not stopping. I'm not quitting. I'm not backing down. We're pushing all in.
Good.
So on your sponsors, or I should say your dining and lodging, are they sponsors? Do they pay for that?
They do, actually. So what we do is we do a lot of value in kind, because I bring a very big staff for this event. I really do. This is a very
bartering some of it.
We
there?
do, and so Mud Street Cafe, Local Flavor, and our hotel partners, I have to feed and house all my staff, plus my timer, plus my announcer. So we're quite a show that's coming over here, and that's the trade. So it's a definite value. It's just as good as cash for us, right? And they've been great partners.
Okay, any more discussion or questions?
Well, I have a question for Rick. Overall, Rick, how many applications do you anticipate for the rest of the year?
I know that Mardi Gras is going to apply.
Yep.
The tour home's still up in the air whether
Sure.
they're going to happen this year. I don't believe that the cemetery tour is going to happen, but I don't know that for a fact.
Okay,
Books and Bloom is no longer, it's finished, so we won't get that application, and that pretty much sums up the typical ones that we get. So
Okay.
maybe one or two more
Okay.
for this year.
Is Books and Bloom like never again?
Right, they've
Wow.
now canceled Books and Bloom for
Wow.
good,
Oh, wow.
which is a big loss.
It
That was a
is.
long-running, great event.
That's a bummer.
yeah.
Would you guys, I know you've made a motion and we have a second, but would you be interested in, because of last year, we couldn't predict COVID, so we
Right.
issued funds. I think it might be smart for us this year to agree to the 5,000, but not disperse the funds until we know 100% that the event's going to happen, or until after the event. That way, we've made sure that
Okay.
we don't get into that.
I agree with that.
We could wait until the mayor's
Well, I think, I
ban
think,
on events
Right.
ends, which is
June 30th,
the end of June.
but we,
Well, and
we'd approve it now,
And-
but we wouldn't disperse the funds until after
Right.
the event or
Yeah.
after.
I mean, that's very fair. Honestly, if I'm sitting in your
Yeah.
seat, I would do the exact same thing. We're going to go like we're there, for
Yeah.
sure, and I'm waiting. We're going to submit I needed to get at least the approval that you would do the 5,000. We're going to put our permit in the mayor's or mayor's office tomorrow, knowing that where we're going to be, but we're going to plan like we're July 23rd through the 25th, hoping that that gets lifted a little earlier, because I can't open registration this year without having all permits in place. I already have my health department permit in place.
okay.
Right.
I'll withdraw my second.
Yeah, would you like to amend your motion?
I think
Oh,
it's
your
my
your
motion.
motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll amend my motion that we support this event at the amount of $5,000, release of the money pending the mayor's decision to open events,
That we know what's going to happen.
to open events, which he'll probably do before June 30th, but that's my motion.
Probably so.
I'll second that.
Okay, Harry?
Yes.
Okay. Melissa?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Bruce, for coming. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. And if you have any suggestions about how we can get the mayor to release that earlier, then let me know. So I'll be right there in his front door.
All righty.
Thank you so much for the continued support.
Thank you.
You're
You
welcome.
bet.
Patrick, I'd like to,
Just to add a little anecdote to that, a couple of years ago, when they were here, I was at Chelsea's, and there were 7 guys from bicycle riders, they're big,
Shaking.
they consumed 8 pizzas
yeah.
and probably
Bruce?
50 bottles of beer.
Hey,
Bruce?
before you leave, I want to make sure that will you get with Rick or with Patrick, however, make sure that he has the new logo and the correct, we want to make sure that any material, make sure that we have the correct, and make sure any proofs that you have, that we get those approved through Patrick?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. We want to make sure that we're using that new logo.
Yeah, sure will. Look forward to getting that tomorrow. We'll get that in.
Sure, thank you very much. Okay,
Bruce, is your email listed here? Good one to use? I'll email you.
I have events on here for new business. We kind of went over all that earlier. I don't, unless you guys have anything else. And then I didn't have anything for staff. I just have it on here if you guys have anything for staff.
I'm sorry, I missed the intern from marketing thing.
Oh,
We voted to hire an intern
Yep.
Okay,
at $15 an hour
okay.
for 20 hours a week, and we budgeted, was it
$15,000.
$15,000 a year for that.
I'd like to, on staffing, I think we need to start talking about an auditorium manager. I think
Okay.
Rick brought that up.
Well, I've got that in my notes after Rick spoke about it. Need for odd manager soon, jobs description. We'll need to come up with a job description. Do we have anything on file?
We do, I can supply you with the old one.
Awesome. And then,
What was it part-time, Rick, and what was the pay?
The last auditorium manager, the salary was $38,000, and it was full-time.
Okay. Could we get by with a part-time one?
At this point, yes, we could.
Okay.
Of course,
15,000.
I do have a citizen of Eureka who's just graduated from advertising. She will be graduating in May from Everton, getting a BA.
Okay.
And she's going to needs a part-time job through the summer, and then she's going on to graduate school. So I'll get her resume
Get a resume, we're ready.
for our next meeting,
that's
Okay.
perfect.
and she may come.
And Rick,
Yeah.
on the odd manager, sorry, with the description, who handles putting that out there to, I know Lynn's going to take care of the tourism. Is that something we do?
Once you all decide on the description, it'd go to Kim, to me, and to Indeed.
Okay,
And
sounds great.
Personally, I think we really need to talk about that particular
Yeah.
job and job description. There may be a way of, there may be some different ways that we could work that to,
Multitask?
yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I agree.
Okay. All right.
Anything else on staff?
Thank you, Rick.
We'll push that to get the information, and I will get it on either our next meeting or next workshop.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, so agenda items that we would have that you guys,
I'd like to talk about these events for sure, Folk Festival,
okay?
the arts, the Festival of the Arts now, I believe it's called, and any other of the sort of feature events we do.
Okay. Do you want to include drumming in the park and some of the,
Yeah, we could do
and
that.
just kind of all the
Yeah.
events that we
Yeah, well, I
normally,
think our signature events, the big events, and then the Basin Park type things maybe is a separate topic.
Right.
okay. And you want to do that in our next meeting?
Yes,
Could be in
that's
2
all right.
weeks.
Yes.
Okay. Any other things that we want to do in our next meeting that, okay, other than old business? Okay, that's it, we're done. Motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Cummings?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we got a motion,
Second it.
we got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys so much for coming and bearing witness.
Dinner
to-
time.
Sorry I was late.
That's Eric.